You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, John Santucci, the Tooch, and the man with the plan, Adam Shum. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. He might go. 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flush that again all the way back. Turning the corner. Fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, stayed in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. Pass is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this is better than those things.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Fantasy Football Goon. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, John Santucci, the Tooch, and our buddy,
Tooch.
That's right, and Adam Shum, the man with the plan, is at the Bears game in Kansas City.
I'm so jealous, too, the barbecue.
He will be popping on at some point.
I'm 3 hours from Kansas City, and my wife and I are planning on going there in a couple of weeks to barbecue in the Children's Museum with the girls and the zoo. They got a new aquarium. So I can't wait. I love the Kansas City barbecue, though.
You can't go wrong with any of that KC barbecue, man. That's good stuff.
Can I say one thing first off, man? This is like super important for fantasy football, and that is today's weather. We got the tropical storm or whatever it is, hurricane on the East Coast.
Yeah.
4 games today will have 15-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts. The Patriots, Jets, the Ravens and the Colts, the Browns and the Titans, and the Jaguars and the Texans, and I believe the Commanders game as well. And the Commanders are playing who are the Commanders playing?
The Commanders are playing Buffalo today.
The Commanders, Buffalo. So that's
and that's in Washington.
Five games. So just be careful when you're setting your rosters because the 15-plus mile-an-hour wind gusts can affect the passing game. Just want to get that out there, Joe.
Yeah, it really is like a big factor going into today. You know, a lot of people underestimate weather. We saw that week 1 with the Dallas Cowboys-Giants game.
Yep.
Defensive disaster for the Giants anyway. Lots of wet balls, lots of turnovers and all that. So, yeah, for sure. And right off the bat here, Tooch, we do have a question here from our buddy Connor in the chat to lead things off. He's like, do you like Musgrave, Hurst, or Taysom Hill? Of course, talking about the tight end position. I might be in the minority here, Tooch, but I love Taysom Hill today. There is no Jamal Williams in that game. He's going to be heavily involved for the Saints. Granted, he's not really – I mean, he took snaps out of the backfield as a running back last week. He catches passes.
Plays quarterback.
You know, Musgrave has looked good, but I don't think he's –
The Panthers are playing who again? I forget.
Carolina, by the way, without Bryce Young.
Yeah.
What is that? Andy Dalton, the backup
Andy
player,
Dalton,
right?
For the
against Seattle.
Seattle, okay.
And again,
you could throw on Seattle.
You could throw on Seattle. It's just, you know, Is Hurst going to have the same connection with Dalton as he did with Young? I don't know.
So here's my view on this. Luke Musgrave I love. I would normally say take Luke Musgrave because he gets a lot of targets and red zone looks. But I don't think the Packers and Saints game will be very high scoring. So
I don't think so either. That Saints defense is good.
Yep, Hurst and Taysom Hill are probably a wash. So either one of those guys.
I think Taysom Hill's got the higher ceiling.
I'll take Taysom Hill as well. Put a gun to my head.
He's got a more potential without Jamal Williams to kind of blow up today. Because you've seen Taysom Hill, like he has one game a season that he's got like 30 or 40 points. And then the rest are all like 1, 3, 4 points. Yep. So I think this is potential for the day that it blows up. This is an easy one for me here, Tooch. I believe last week we both had Nico Collins as a sleeper pick, and he just continues to be fantastic. CJ Stroud loves him.
Yep.
Got a great matchup today. I'm going Nico Collins here. How about you?
Normally I would, but that weather's going to keep me down. I'm going to take Joshua Kelly getting a lot of touches against that soft Minnesota defense. That's just me. That's going to be that'll be the highest scoring game. Vikings and Chargers has 54-point total. So give me Kelly.
I didn't like what I saw out of him last week, so I'm kind of out on Kelly now.
Yeah, Adam called it. Who were they playing last week? The Titans. That's the number one rush defense in the NFL.
This is true. I'm not.
On the road against the best rush defense in the NFL. Look, Minnesota's defense is trash. They're like bottom the bottom two defenses in the NFL, the Vikings and the Chargers. They're terrible. So give me Kelly. I love Nico Collins too, Matt. Got him in fantasy. Love him.
Yeah, I
just don't like the weather today for throwing the ball.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out real quick how they're gonna have to work around it. But all good stuff there, Tooch. Our buddy Nick. Hello, Nick. Howdy. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Here's tuning in. Obviously, get your questions in. We're gonna answer them right up till kickoff. And as I mentioned, top of the show, our other co-host Adam Schaum in Kansas City for the game today. He's gonna probably phone in at some point and just say hello. Give us a little report from down there.
He's got a slab of ribs he can show off when he phones in.
He is. I mean, he's even when he's at home, he's smoking ribs, he's smoking chicken. I mean,
I love it.
You can't hit. There's no shortage of good food in those parts. But anyway, Tooch. Yes, Connor just pointed out Aaron Jones inactive today. So that pisses me off because I have him in a couple leagues. So now I have to pivot here while we're on the air and switch my lineup. And yes, Aldo, Adam Schaum, bring us a big dub from Kansas City. I don't know if you saw, but Greg Bragg said if the Bears beat Kansas City, you can throw meatballs at him. So I
frozen or cooked?
Cooked.
Okay.
He specified. People were asking him afterwards, and he said, "No, they got to be cooked." So I'm like, okay. I'm about as confident as Greg is in this happening as well. I'm sure Tooch is on the same page, but if all things, any given
I think
Sunday,
the Bears can cover 12.5 though.
I don't think so. But
I'm not betting.
You're the betting man, not me.
Yeah, I mean the big spreads. The Chiefs are not don't have a winning record against big spreads, so it's a hold your nose play. But I'm not betting it.
Yeah, I'm staying away.
Yep.
I do like Jerick McKinnon today, though. We'll talk about him a little bit later.
There he is.
But before we get into anything else, we got our on-site man, Adam Schaum, the man with the plan.
What's up, gentlemen?
Oh, he's in the hotel. Okay, right. It's a later game, right.
Checking in from the Marriott in Kansas City, Missouri.
Very nice. And how's the hotel? Do they have free breakfast?
I don't know. We were too late if they did.
So, what are they serving beer in the hotel?
Yeah. I brought it with us. Yeah,
silver bullet.
Yeah, we packed the cooler and brought it with us. We got some beer and some Fireball with us,
boy.
and
boy,
gotta stay warm somehow, right?
We're about to head out and find the tailgate.
Is your buddy back there a Chiefs fan? He's wearing red.
Yep. That's DJ back there that's in all of our leagues with us. Say hi, DJ.
All right, DJ.
DJ, what's up, dude?
How you doing?
How's it feel, DJ? How's it feel to get chopped this week in guillotine before the game's even started?
I can't wait.
I'm just kidding. He's in the guillotine league with us. I was just busting his balls.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna have to play Kenny Pickett in that today, guys.
Nice. I'm jealous.
Right
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
I've got
Nice
Burrow.
Wi-Fi connection at the Marriott, though. I'll tell you, you're coming in loud and clear.
What's that? It sounds
Yeah.
good.
Nice
Yeah,
Wi-Fi connection at the Marriott. Be sure to include that in your Yelp review.
Yeah, the DJ's probably getting charged for it. Good. So,
Rightly so, man.
how are
You
you
guys
guys doing?
go out for barbecue last night?
We're going out tonight after the game.
Oh man, nice.
Yeah. We just drove up this morning.
All
Just
right.
got here, checked in, and then we're gonna stay tonight and go.
How
out.
long of a drive is it?
We got here in just about 4 hours.
Okay,
Nice.
I'm a little bit closer than you. I'm about 3.5.
Okay, yeah, I told him I thought you said you were like 4 to 5. I couldn't remember, but
Yeah, Des Moines to Kansas City, about 3.5.
Nice. Well,
Yep.
yeah, we're excited. I hope it goes better than I hope for the Bears. I just want it to at least be a competitive game.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
We'll see about that. But I know I was texting with you guys before we get to this one, Tooch.
Yeah.
I was texting with you guys beforehand, and I have Aaron Jones in a million leagues, and that just broke out that he's inactive today.
Yeah.
So that's 2 weeks in a row, and in guillotine I have to pivot. So I was asking you guys a little bit earlier, like,
Yep.
if I had to swap him out and I had to put in a flex, who would you rather go with? Jerick McKinnon, Antonio Gibson, Gerald Everett, or Tony Jones? I have McKinnon in there currently against the Bears. I don't know what else to do. I think that's the only thing you can do, right?
Pacheco's banged up, so I go with McKinnon.
Yeah, I kind of think CEH is a sleeper today for fantasy reasons. I think second half could be a lot of CEH possibly, but
They just don't like McKinnon. I don't know why they don't like. He doesn't get. I don't know.
He tends to be more critical towards the end of the year whenever they get into more important games, and he gets involved in the passing game more at the start of the year.
Let's be honest. What's happened the last 2 weeks with Kansas City is only going to help McKinnon's cause because the receivers can't catch the ball. Throw him a dink and dunk out of the backfield. And I think you're going to see more McKinnon this week starting against the Bears because they can't defend anybody. But
I think he's probably the play out of the choices you had there.
Yeah, as we all know, guillotine is a sloppy mess until you get down to 12 teams at least. But you put together what you can. But Adam, I know you didn't do specific picks or anything for this week, but I'm curious if you had any plays of the week or any guys that you think are really going to blow up today. We'll feature you here for a couple minutes before you got to get going to that tailgate.
Man, just a couple of guys I was thinking about, potential sleepers outside of these big names and everything, and maybe some guys that some people have been worried about lately. I kind of think Alexander Madison could have a good game today.
Yeah.
I know they got Cam Akers, but I don't think he's going to be ready to play quite yet this week. But the Chargers' rush defense, the Chargers' defense overall has been horrible, but really bad to running backs. They've given up, I believe, the most points to running backs thus far. I think it's a good chance for Madison to try to secure a little bit of his role there before Akers gets a hold of some of it. So I think he's a guy a lot of people have on their bench, and I think he could be a pretty decent, safe play today. Just probably not going to be like a 20-point game, but I think he can give you a safe floor today. And a tight end I like is Cade Otton for Tampa Bay today versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia gives up tons of points to tight ends thus far this year. I think that could be an easy target for Baker Mayfield today, so I really like him.
Love all those options there, Adam. There's been some big names in fantasy that have kind of been big duds to start the year. One of the biggest being Jamar Chase. I'm just curious your thoughts on him going into today, and especially with Burrow being questionable with that injury.
Man, I'm pretty scared to death of the Bengals altogether outside of probably Joe Mixon right now. It feels like the only person that's consistently going to touch the ball that I really don't think Burrow is going to play. That's why I say I'm going to have to go ahead. That's the Monday night too, right? It's like the last game, so it puts everyone in a horrible position as far as playing Burrow or not. So I'm going to have to play Kenny Pickett today on Guillotine League because I can't take the chance of Burrow late Monday night not playing. Otherwise, you're looking at his backup of Jake Browning, I think, is the guy behind him, and
Yeah, that's
I
scary.
just, we've seen what 8, 9 points from Chase so far, so I can't expect a lot more this week because I don't think Burrow's playing.
Yeah, I doubt it either. I mean, obviously he hasn't been himself through 2 games. He looks awful.
They signed A.J. McCarron yesterday as well, who used to be on their squad as a backup. That's, to me, tells me, hey, there's a good chance somebody's not playing this week, and we need extra help here.
Yeah, Joe's. I doubt he goes this week. I do think that they're going to feature Jamar Chase a lot in this game. I don't think you have to be too worried if you have Chase, regardless of who's throwing him the ball. But Joe Burrow owners, I would 100% say get him on your bench.
Yeah, it's being that last game of the week. It makes it really tough for everybody with that.
Well, that's what happened with me last week with Amari Cooper. He was supposed to not play all week with this groin injury. So I bench him in guillotine, and then he ends up playing and puts up like 20-something points on my bench. And I almost get chopped. I got by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah, that kind of looks like it. Even if Watson looks like crap, which he has so far, and stuff, it looks like Cooper's still pretty safe there.
For sure. We had a couple questions here. Do we want to do a quick bounce on them, and then Adam, and as soon as we get through the couple questions, we'll let you.
Give me a couple, and then I'm going to get out here. We're going to catch our ride to the stadium.
Yep, go for it, man. Nick wants to know Puka, DK, Nico, and Zach Moss. I need one wide receiver in flex. Moss in the flex for floor? ? So you need one wide receiver and one flex out of all these.
And I would go Puka and Nico on that one. I think DK was banged up a little bit.
He's
Zach
playing
Moss
today, though, I guess.
Yeah, he is playing. Zach Moss, I think, probably has a pretty safe floor today, but it's a tough matchup versus Baltimore. Puka, you got to keep playing Puka right now with the target share he's getting with Cooper Kupp out. You can't bench 15 targets. And Nico Collins is not far behind him as far as that goes either. So that's a good matchup for Nico as well in that game. So I would play those two.
Yeah, Tooch mentioned briefly before you came on, Adam. There's some rough weather on the East Coast, so he's a little weary of passing games with 15-mile-an-hour winds. Does that affect your choice of Nico at all, or are you still going with him?
Well, yeah, that would affect me a little bit on that. I would maybe consider Zach Moss on that because, like I said, I think even in a tough matchup versus Baltimore, Moss got like 98% of the snaps last week. He only missed one snap of the game, I think. And they released Deion Jackson this week. He's pretty much the guy there, and he had 4 targets and 4 catches last week. So I think that he could easily make the points up there in that game. So I'd probably go Puka and Zach Moss in case of the weather with Nico.
Although here saying Schefter tweeted that Pacheco is listed as questionable, but he should be good to go, according to a source. Kadarius Toney is a game time decision, and I think we lost Adam. Oh no, Adam's back. Okay,
I'm here.
All good. So that's interesting news there. We'll hammer out a couple questions, and then we'll let you go, Adam. Alec P, Rice, R. Rice, Luke Musgrave, tight end. Pete. I don't like any of those guys. Musgrave, I guess. Tooch?
I'll take a shot with Rashee Rice against the Bears. Banged up secondary.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't like any of them, but if you have to, I would go with Musgrave. Tooch would go with Rice. Adam, you still with us, or did we lose you? That's all right. He dropped off, so I think we may have lost the connection with him. It's all
He's
good.
Gotta go. He's running to the game.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll take a couple questions, and then we'll get into our starts and sits here, Tooch.
Yeah.
If he comes back, we'll sign him off. But if not, Adam, have fun at the game, buddy. Oh, Matthew wants to know Taysom Hill or Cole Kmet today. That's tough because they're going to have totally different roles. You don't know what Taysom Hill you're going to get today without Jamal Williams. I imagine he's going to be heavily involved for the Saints in a pretty favorable matchup. Kmet also has a good matchup, but I don't know if Fields is going to have any time to throw the ball. It could be a good chuck down day. For me, I think it's a bit of a coin flip between these two. If you're going for, potential high ceiling, I would probably go towards Hill, but Kmet's the more solid, probably guaranteed 8 to 10 points out of Kmet. But I don't know, Tooch, what do you think?
I'm out on Kmet. They're both Chiefs are 16th against the tight end. Packers are 15th. So it's a pretty equal matchup, all things equal. Without Jamal Williams, I'll take Taysom Hill.
There you go, baby. I love it. Without further ado, Tucherino, let's dive into our starts and sits.
Let's go.
I'll start with my QB starts for the day. Tooch, I'm a fan today of Tua Tagovailoa against Denver. Denver's defense has not been good. Their secondary has not been great. Tua has looked rejuvenated to me, and this offense is just firing on all cylinders. You're going to hear me mention a couple other Dolphins during this show today because I love the matchup. Not sure what Denver's doing on defense, but I don't like it. So Tua for me is a must start. I think he's a top 5 quarterback the rest of the way. I got him as a backup in one league for Burrow, and that really worked out well for me. So that's going to help me out a lot. Geno Smith today against Carolina. I've loved what I've seen out of Geno since he's gone to Seattle. Carolina's secondary, again, not great. As we mentioned, DK is playing, but he's a bit banged up. I imagine he's going to play more of a decoy kind of role today. Anything with ribs is really hard to shake, but I still like Geno Smith a lot in this game. And lastly, Jared Goff against Atlanta. Jared Goff has looked unbelievable.
At home, he's great at home, man.
Yeah, he's looked unbelievable this season in general. He's been great at home. This offense has definitely been working. It's the defense that's been the problem. So no need to worry there. Any of these 3 guys in your lineup, you're going to be looking good today, Tooch. So I love all 3 of these starts. How about you, Mr. Tooch?
I like Jared Goff too. I mean, the Falcons 7th versus the tight ends, so they play. I mean, versus the quarterbacks, they play quarterbacks tough. But who have they played? They played Bryce Young and Jordan Love. So
right.
I think that stat's a little bit misgiven. It's hard in the beginning of the season with only 2 weeks of data. I'll take. I love Jared Goff. He's lights out at home, man. So definitely. And then are those last week? Yeah, those are last week because the Lions are playing.
I'm sorry. I put up Adams. I'm sorry. Jeez, I'm so used to putting Adams up. Here you go, dude. Sorry.
I mean, like the Cardinals, they're a disaster. They're playing for next season. Dak Prescott. I want all in on anybody on the Cowboys today with that defense, giving the offense extra chances. Trevor Lawrence at Houston. Now the weather's a factor, so take that. But the Texans have not been good against the pass, so we're looking at Trevor Lawrence. But now I would downgrade that. So maybe you're already starting Justin Herbert if you have him. So
yeah,
Kirk Cousins, you got to get in there too. These are the two of the worst teams, the Chargers and the Vikings versus the pass. They're 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL. So
for sure. And real quick, Tooch, we got some updates from Aldo in the chat. Zay Jones officially out, which we were expecting. Yep. So Christian Kirk stock goes up for today in that good matchup. Yep. I know the weather's not great, but they're going to have to use some receivers. I think Christian Kirk might get some quick screens out of the backfield. Big speed out of him.
The slot. Yep.
DeAndre Hopkins is active. And for the Dolphins, Salvon Ahmed is out. So big time Raheem Mostert day. I have a feeling we may talk about him later in the show. Just a spoiler or a tease, if we will. Our buddy Sean's back. Tooch, he said, "What's up, fellas? Thanks for coming back this week. Need one in the running back position. Gus Edwards, Zach Moss, and Najee Harris." I'm taking Najee off the list because he's been abysmal. He's not even the best back on the Steelers anymore. You may hear us talk about his backup in this show. Stay tuned. So for me, it's between Edwards and Moss. Edwards has a really plus matchup today, Tooch. I really like Edwards going against Indy, and there's no Justice Hill in this game. So I think this is a day you got to go with Gus Edwards. What do you think out of between Edwards and Moss?
I'll take Moss and Najee. Just the Raiders are terrible against the run, so that's probably a wash, though. I mean, Edwards' goal line, that's you gotta expect goal line care, and the Colts are terrible against the run too. It's kind of a wash, But
well, I'm just saying strictly from the fact that there's no Justice Hill, and it's pretty much a Gus Edwards day. There's not really anybody else.
Yep, Gus Edwards and Moss. Justice Hill is out today.
Yes.
Okay.
At least last I checked. Let me double check that. Yes, he's officially inactive, as is Odell Beckham Jr. in that game too.
Yep.
Not that it really matters.
They're going to pound Edwards then all day long.
Yep. And no
signed somebody, right? Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake will be there. He'll be on passing downs probably.
It's still Edwards' backfield to lose.
Yeah, for sure. And yes, I agree with Sean. Harris is playing the Raiders, who are horrible against the run. But
I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys. But Jaylen Warren's been getting a lot more playing time for the Steelers. So I see Joe's point of view.
This is the Jaylen Warren game today. You're going to see him.
Good ball player.
He's going to eclipse Harris. I think Harris's time as a starter is limited. I honestly do believe that. I think Warren's the better player. You're going to see it today in this game. I have a feeling for those leagues that don't have Jaylen Warren owned, I think he might be a popular pick on the waivers next week too. It's just a hunch.
Yep.
So we'll see there. But those are our quarterback starts of the week. Going into running back starts, I'll let you start things off, Tooch, with running backs.
All right. Well, like I said, you got to. This is the Josh Jacobs. He's got 98 yards in the whole season, but he's been stacking the box against him, forcing Jimmy Garoppolo to throw. And Jacobs has faced two really good run defenses, Buffalo and the Broncos. So this is a get-right game. The Steelers are terrible against the run so far this year. So they got to the weather shouldn't be a factor. Jacobs should be catching the ball and running the ball. I got Javonte Williams versus Miami, although that could be that the weather might affect that game too down in Miami. So you look for the Broncos to pound the ball. He's looked good. And then Kyron Williams, the Bengals are terrible against the run. Absolutely terrible.
And they traded Cam Akers this week too. So it's Kyron Williams, nobody else.
Yep. Yeah.
And he's a great PPR candidate too. He's catching balls. He's doing it all. He could be like one of the unsung fantasy league winners this year.
Yep.
I know there's no way that the Rams can continue this offensive juggernaut that they've been, but I'm very excited to see how good Kyron Williams can be.
I would throw in Kenneth Walker in there too if you're looking for a start, because the Panthers are terrible against the run.
Yep, I'm totally in on that. And real quick, Aldo said Montgomery is inactive. Yeah, David Montgomery out. It's going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs day, and this is the day.
What's the other guy? Chuck Reynolds?
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about him. I think it's – obviously he might vulture a couple goal line carries, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to get some short yardage work and maybe some pounded in between the tackles work.
I think Gibbs is going to get his first TD today, and I'm going to go on.
Gibbs is like 190 pounds. That's what I worry about. Yeah. I love the player. He's like a guy that he's a passing down. You can run him too, but you don't want to pound him 25 carries a game with Gibbs.
Mm-hmm. And Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way, today I have a feeling not one.
Anytime touchdown.
He's going to get his first touchdown, but I say Gibbs has 2 tutties today. So we'll see. One thing we got from Sean, he wants to know one more thing. Does Kareem Hunt end up taking over in Cleveland? I do not think so. I think Jerome Ford is a far more talented back. I will say, if he is active today, and I believe they were trending towards him potentially being active, I don't see him on the inactive list yet. I think Kareem Hunt will probably just be goal line specific only today.
Depends on how he plays. He could come in and light it up, or he could come in and be terrible.
But it's Jerome Ford's backfield. I think he's the better back, so I'm still not too worried about
Ford. You're not starting Hunt, but I would hold Hunt. Hunt is a wait and see.
Oh, 100%. It's a wait and see, no doubt.
Unless you're really injured, you got to have guys now. It's like.
Jumping over to my running back starts. I told you you'd hear about the Dolphins again. Raheem Mostert today against Denver to me is a must start. Ground and pound. Of course, they're going to air it out, but Mostert has looked electric in limited play, especially with that passing game. But I will say Denver has been really bad against the pass. Mostert has been the guy that they were kind of hoping that they would get if they were to make a deal with Jonathan Taylor. I'm not saying that he's on the same talent level, but Mostert has certainly been very good, and I like him today. I think he's my top start of the week.
The Broncos have not been good against the run.
Broncos are horrendous against the run. Yeah. I'm big time into this today. I think Mostert ends up as a top 5 running back. The guy who I think ends up as number 1 running back this week is James Cook going up against Washington. Granted, their pass rush is good, but James Cook is getting involved, Tooch, in all aspects of the game for the Bills. Last week you saw it, 123-ish yards on the ground. He's catching balls. He's a workhorse back in fantasy. I tell you, I said at the beginning of the season he had potential to be a top 10 fantasy running back by the end of the year. I think James Cook, when all said and done, is a top 5 running back in this league, especially in fantasy this year. James Cook, fire him up. He's my number 1 start of the week. Let it go. Let it rip. And, of course, we talked about Kyron Williams already. Guy has come out of nowhere to be an absolute fantasy stud. All 3 of these guys, if you have them in your lineup, you're looking good.
It's crazy. I love James Cook and PPR. I just hate the way Latavius Murray and Damian Harris are there to vulture touchdowns from him, though. But love the player.
It's a hell of a player for sure. Although just dropped some Packers inactives that will affect our team. Of course, we talked about Aaron Jones, top of the show, but Christian Watson still inactive.
Yep. The Packers have gone to a dog now after this news. They were -1, now they're +1.
Yeah, they obviously have the injury bug real bad.
2-point line move.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, those are some big names. The offensive lineman is huge. Bakhtiari specifically is huge. And then Watson and Jones, arguably your 2 top offensive output players. Yep. If you were even thinking about starting Jordan Love, especially now, you can't without those 2 guys.
Nope. It's a sit for me. No, I mean, those are their 2 best offensive linemen.
Yeah. And then our buddy Sean in the league, he says, if you ever have someone needs to take over a team in any leagues, give me a holler.
Maybe he wants to do some guillotine next year.
Yeah, next year, Sean, will keep you in mind we have a guillotine league that we run with 18 guys. Lowest scoring team each week gets eliminated. Players go back to waivers, and then you blind bid on everything else with 1,000 fake bucks. It's insane. It's fun. It's awesome. And by the way, Sean, I see your photo and I see your military, so thank you for your service. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Cesar.
Oh, sorry, I was getting it too.
we did the same time. Yeah. I don't have a lot of options at running back. If you had to, who you starting, Herbert or Johnson for the Bears? I think Johnson, if I had to choose. I think he's the more electric back of the 2, and I think they're going to be down in this game. And for me, if one of the 2 had to catch a pass, I think Johnson's the better pass catcher.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen so far. So if you had to, Johnson's the play out of those 2, I think.
Yeah, the Chiefs are really good against the run, man, only allowing 15 points a game to opposing running backs. So, I mean, temper expectations of both the guys. I'll take Johnson, though, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Khalil Herbert. They just like the running back by committee, screws the fantasy owners.
Yeah, for sure. And Tooch, before we get into our wide receiver starts, I'm just briefly perusing through the inactives for the morning games. I know Aldo's been updating us on a lot of stuff here too, which is awesome. So appreciate that, Aldo. But wanted to point out for the Colts, there is no Anthony Richardson, of course. He got banged up pretty good last week.
Uncle Rico.
Yeah, I got Gardner Minshew back at it again this week against the Ravens. For the Ravens, of course, we mentioned there's no Justice Hill, which means Gus Edwards is a must start. No Odell Beckham Jr. Heading into the Texans-Jaguars game, no Zay Jones for the Jaguars. So you got to watch out for that. If you're talking about the Houston Texans, you don't have to worry about too much. No one offensively that you would be starting is out. Diving into some of the later games today. I'm sorry, we still have the Commanders game. I forgot about that. That's a morning game. Bills Commanders. Logan Thomas, the tight end, took a cheap shot last week in the end zone. Really dirty play. He is inactive today, so if you had him at tight end, get him out of your lineup. We mentioned the Packers game. No Aaron Jones, no Christian Watson, no Zane Anderson, no Jared Alexander. Of course, there's no Bakhtiari. So, Jamal Williams is inactive for the Saints, but we talked about a couple options that you can plug in his place, like a Taysom Hill, who's going to be heavily involved in that game, whether it's running, passing, catching, it. And then getting into the Chargers game, Tooch's favorite player in the world, Austin Eckler, is inactive for that game. He's got him just
about one week out of him, and that was it.
You have him in just about every league you're in, don't you?
Yeah, I love the player, but, I thought Christian McCaffrey would be the injury prone of the 2. More injury prone. Wrong about that. So
yeah. Yep. And Tooch, we were talking before this about how the Vikings traded for Cam Akers and how they had
What do you think
Alexander
about
Madison.
that, Joe?
I think he'll eventually be the guy, but
I do too.
I just looked. Cam Akers is inactive today, so Alexander Madison owners can fire him up with probably the last good start you could
I don't
expect
think
out of him.
Alexander Madison is very good.
I don't think he is either, but the Chargers defense isn't good either. I think Madison has his last serviceable day as a fantasy starter today.
Today's the day.
So you could fire him up and, say, that's it.
Yep.
All right, bye. And then Broncos, Dolphins this afternoon. There is no Jalen Waddle in that game. He is inactive, so you have to do without him. That's a big name in fantasy.
Tyreek Hill over 90 over 90 receiving yards today.
I'll take it over 1,000,000%. Fire it up.
Fire it up. Over 90 automatic. Lock it in.
Yep. And the last of the morning games is the New York Jets against the New England Patriots. And I read it wrong. I thought it was Breece Hall was inactive, but it's Bryce Hall, the cornerback. So disregard. Yeah. So we're good to go there. But those are the morning inactives. Got a bunch of questions here.
Let's roll them. Roll them at me.
Kicks for Mike. Appreciate you coming back in. All those here.
Matthew Focheese.
Focheesy. He says, show me the money. Tooch is always showing the money. He had a great card yesterday, didn't you, Tooch?
Unreal. Just one of my best days ever yesterday in college football. College football, college basketball, my two best sports. NFL, it's okay.
There you go. Aldo was telling Sean earlier who wanted a fantasy team. He's got a great team. I'll sell it to you for 1,000.
NFL is so hard, Joe, to win consistently. I mean, you have to wong teasers. You have to play some totals. You got to play the props. So with college football, you can get in there with these different spreads and totals and first halves. It's a little easier.
For sure. And we got a great question here, Tooch, team out of nowhere. What's up, guys? Full PPR, Tutu or Pacheco? For me, it's not even close. Pacheco's banged up, and he is playing, but Tutu has been outside of Puka, he's been the top. On most teams, he has wide receiver 1 numbers through 2 games. He's a PPR machine. He saved my life in guillotine literally 2 weeks in a row. I'm going Tutu because Pacheco's banged up. I know Pacheco's got a great matchup against the Bears, and he could absolutely go off, but he could be one play into the game, be banged up, and could be out the whole game. I think Tutu's got the much safer play, I think. What do you think?
I can't disagree with that. Like you said, the injury risk with Pacheco, although his matchup is great, the Bears are terrible against the run. But Kansas City's got a 3-headed monster there. I'll take Stafford and Tutu and Puka versus the Bengals on Monday night.
There you go, baby. I love it. It's gonna be a good game. I'm looking forward to watching that one.
Yeah. I could see Pacheco having a big day though. He toughs it out, gets a shot, gets a pain shot, and just lights it up against the Bears.
Oh, you know it, baby. You know it big time. Yep. Big time. I got 2-2 in it, my flex in a couple leagues, so I love it. Kicks for Mike, PPR wide receiver in a flex. Evans, DK, Addison, Najee, Swift. Wow, that's a damn great problem to have, buddy.
I'm never taking out Mike Evans.
I think Mike Evans currently needs to be in your lineup. DK is banged up with a rib injury, so it's a little scary for me to give him a go. I like Kyren Williams, and I like Addison. For me, it's definitely Mike Evans, and then it's between Addison and Kyren Williams.
Does he need 3? Okay, 2. He needs 2. He needs a wide receiver.
Yeah, he needs a wide receiver and a flex.
For whatever reason, the Eagles' defense, they lost their defensive coordinator. Defense is not as good this year. So you can start up Mike Evans if you want. I think the Buccaneers are home or on the road.
Let's see. I got it here. Hang on one second. They are at home against the Eagles tonight.
Yeah. Evans for me is a must start. Addison and Kyren I like too.
Addison is becoming for me just a must start every week.
Yeah,
I do love Kyren's matchup as well, but
yep.
I don't know how long they can keep that up. And Addison,
flex, I'm putting Kyren in. I would like to know who the other running backs are though.
Yeah, Kicks for Mike. Let us know who your other backs are.
I really like Addison today too.
It's really close. I had Addison as a must start, and I had Kyren Williams as a must start. So picking between the two of them is a bit of a coin flip for me.
Yeah. I love Evans though, man. Evans is tough, man.
For volume purposes only, I think I'd probably go Kyron over Addison because Addison's got to compete with JJ. So Evans and Kyron Williams, but it's just by a hair. He said he's got Mixon and Bijan as his other backs. So I see you.
I like Mixon's matchup though too. It's a pretty good matchup. But
Pacheesi said, "Don't start anyone on Chicago." Except
Yeah, you
maybe
can't
DJ
argue with
Moore.
that.
They'll probably force DJ Moore the ball today, I would imagine. So, or if they don't, then they're just as dumb as we all think they are. Tight end, PPR, Hunter Henry, Dalton Kincaid, Pat Freiermuth, or Zach Ertz. I love Hunter Henry this week against the Jets. He's a red zone target.
That's the lowest total on the board. It's like 35-point total, and the weather too. You know, it's raining.
Yeah,
so,
I hate all these guys this week.
Who's Pat?
It's got to be Pat Freiermuth, I would imagine.
Okay.
Pat Freiermuth put up like 2 points in his last 2 games or something like that.
For me, it's Ertz. I hate it.
Yeah, I know.
Gets targeted. I hate it versus the Cowboys. But
that's why I can't do it against the Cowboys. I think pure talent-wise out of all these guys is Kincaid. He's looked really good when he does get the ball thrown his way. But,
the weather, though, on the East Coast.
I hate almost every one of these guys. Henry's the red zone target for the Patriots, and I think he's the only guy I would consider here. Ertz against the Cowboys, that's really hard for me to do.
Yeah. It's tough.
That's a tough one. It's a tough one. I don't like any of them, but I think it's between Ertz and
maybe Hunter. It's either Hunter Henry or Zach Ertz for me. Flip a coin.
Yeah, I'll go Henry.
You got the Jets pass rush against the Patriots.
Yeah, I know.
You got the
I know,
Cowboys pass rush versus the Cardinals. Bad matchups.
Kicks for Mike wants to know Chiefs or Ravens defense. The Ravens taking on Indy, I think. So I'm gonna go with
Give me the Chiefs.
The Ravens. Oh, all right. I think both are great plays.
Yeah,
both are great plays. So you can't
Chiefs
go wrong either way.
defense is really underrated, man.
It is
really underrated.
Got another tight end question: Hunter Henry or Laporta? I love Sam Laporta. I think he's looked really good for the Lions. I think he's a great start this week. You'll see it later in the show. I have him starting against one of the worst defenses in the league in Arizona, although they've been better than advertised. I think partially because there's been some bad play against them.
Lions are playing Carolina.
The Lions are playing.
They're playing Carolina.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I like Laporta against them. They can't cover the tight end at all. So I'm going Laporta. Tooch?
Yeah, a Laporta for me too. Look, the Patriots and Jets game, the total's 35 points.
Yeah.
They're not expecting a ton of points in that game. Look at the Bengals total. It's like 49. I mean, not the Lions total. They're both cats, big cats. Lions and Bengals.
Yeah.
Lions, give me Laporta.
Yeah, me too. Njoku or Ertz, another tight end. And I'm seeing a trend today in the last couple of weeks too. It's tight end questions because the tight end position is a disaster in the NFL in terms of fantasy production outside of Ertz and Andrews. Njoku or Ertz, this is a tough one. I will say Njoku is the far more talented and younger of the two. Njoku has a better quarterback. You can't argue with that. I think Njoku has the higher ceiling today. I don't know, Tooch. What do you think? Because the Browns have a pretty good match. Well, they have a good passing matchup against Tennessee, not so much a running matchup.
Another low total with the Titans and the Browns are two really good defenses. Titans are actually pretty good versus the tight end. They're allowing 9.9 points to the tight end position per game. And then the Cowboys, of course, that pass rush is great, although they have been a little susceptible versus the tight end. So, they're right next to each other. Cowboys are allowing 10.7. Man, I don't know. This is a terrible. I guess I'll take Njoku. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, but I'll go Njoku too. Yeah. The Barkeep wants to know Roshan Johnson or Pacheco. Pacheco, even banged up, I think is probably the better play because
I don't know, man. It's like
higher ceiling.
I might take Roshan I could see him just playing Herbert and Dante Foreman and all three of them. But I mean, that's the same thing on the Chiefs. You're going to get Pacheco, and you get Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, and the Chiefs are one of the best teams against the running back, though, allowing 15 points per game to the running back position. And the Bears, well, they're allowing 28.85 points to the running back. So I'll go Pacheco.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go with that too. And side note, Tooch, I forgot to mention we were talking about the Saints earlier with Jamal Williams. He has officially been placed on IR, so he'll be out for at least 4 games, 3 or 4 games. So
you got Tony Jones, Taysom Hill, or Kendre Miller. I like Kendre Miller. He's the most talented guy on that roster at running back besides Alvin Kamara. So they might fire him up. I don't know.
Worth noting, next week is the return of said Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
So whatever fantasy value you get out of those guys.
They might want to take a look at Kendre Miller.
Yeah.
They drafted him, 3rd round, I think. They might want to fire him up, So I don't know. Over under Chiefs versus Bears. Well, Bears overs have been, a money maker. So have to lean over, but I don't know if the Bears are going to score much versus the Chiefs. Like I said, the team total for the Bears is 16.5, and 30.5 for the Chiefs. So they're looking at can the Chiefs put up 31 points against the Bears? What do you think, Joe?
Yes.
I think they can too, especially with the injuries in the secondary. I'll lean over, but that number's pretty sharp.
I'm with you. I think that number is sharp a lot too.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Well, let's dive back in. Where did all those comment? I lost it.
We got wide receiver starts. Might as well.
Yes, right? Yes, we do. We're gonna dive in real quick. We had one question about Bajan. Does he finish running back 1 today? I think Bajan certainly has a great game. He's looked as good as advertised. Of course, good matchup today for him. Atlanta taking on. Well, I'm sorry. God, who the heck are they playing? I had this in my head. I'm just looking it up. I totally just drew a blank here. Atlanta's playing Detroit.
Yep.
So he's going to be heavily involved in that game. I don't think he finishes number 1, though. I think that designation for me goes to James Cook. I know it's a bit of a bold prediction, but he's been heavily involved, workhorse back. But I'm not benching Bajan in any way, shape, or form.
I will take Josh Jacobs as the number 1. 11 red zone touches through 2 games already. Pittsburgh last, allowing almost 32 points per game to the running backs. Give me Josh Jacobs.
Go for it, brother. And why don't you, while you're at it, talk about your wide receiver starts?
Yep, I like Jordan Addison. Probably whatever. Look, 54-point total in this game. It's the highest total on the board. Chargers, Clippers. I'm talking basketball right, Joe, NBA. Chargers, and I wish the Chargers go back to San Diego. Make it a lot easier for me. I see LAC. I think Los Angeles Clippers automatically. All right, Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, 2 of the worst defense in the NFL. They're both like 31-32. I don't care which one. They're both terrible. 54-point total. You're getting anybody you can in this game. There's no weather factor. You're inside the Minnesota Dome. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson, you're playing Jefferson no matter what. You're playing Keenan Allen. You're probably firing up Mike Williams. Joshua Kelly. You're firing up Alexander Madison, Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert. You're Hawkinson. You're firing up everybody that you have in this game. To get a piece of the 54-point total. So
definitely.
Jordan Addison, give me Addison. Zay Flowers has been really good. Indianapolis Colts are terrible against the wide receiver. 53.1 points so far in the season to wide receivers. So terrible against the wide receiver. Now the weather's going to affect some stuff there, but Zay Flowers, love the separation, love the route running. And then I'll take a chance with Adam Thielen. The Seahawks have been terrible against the pass, also against the wide receiver.
I like it, man. I like it a lot. Diving into mine, Amari Cooper against Tennessee today. I think he's really going to eat. Obviously, they're not going to run the ball very well against Tennessee, but Amari Cooper, I think, is going to be all over the place in this game. He's been great. He played with a banged-up groin last week, and he was awesome. I expect him to continue to be awesome this week.
Yep.
Josh Reynolds against Atlanta today. He's been the unsung hero for the Detroit Lions, of course. You know, he's been obviously wide receiver number 2, but he gets open. He gets a lot of single coverage, and I think he's going to score at least 1 touchdown today against Atlanta. So fire him up. And then I talked about Nico Collins earlier. I'm really high on him. He's looked really good, like what we expected him to be a few years ago. I think against Jacksonville today, he's going to get his fair share of targets. You know, he's loved down there. As CJ Stroud loves him. So sign me up for that.
Again, I just hate the weather forecast down there, but love the player, love the matchup. Everybody tries to pass against the Titans because you can't run on them. So Amari Cooper's a great play.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I have him in guillotine too. So,
yep.
What about your tight end starts, Tooch?
Yep, Lions are terrible versus the tight end. They're 29 or 30th in the NFL versus the tight end. So if you're ever going to start Kyle Pitts, I know, I'm trying to pick guys that aren't that obvious, and this I did before the weather report. So, but you're inside the dome. Take a chance with Kyle Pitts versus the Lions. Tyler Higbee versus the Bengals. Bengals also terrible against the tight end. They're 29th or 28th versus the tight end. And then Hunter Henry versus the Jets. The Jets are also bad versus the tight end, but the weather and the low total, so I don't like. But the Eagles are the worst team against the tight end. That's why I have Cade Otton in my sleeper.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. That's a great call. I talked about this guy earlier in the show, Sam Laporta against Atlanta.
Yep.
I'm really liking the matchup. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of the young tight end. Sign me up for all that. And then Tooch and I were texting privately yesterday. I love Jake Ferguson today against Arizona. He's just continues to get red zone target after red zone target. He's a guy that Dak loves, and Dak hasn't really had to do anything the last 2 weeks. That Cowboys defense is doing it all, and they very well may do it all again today, but I think you're going to see Dak finally get his offense flying, and I think Jake Ferguson is going to be heavily involved today. So sign me up for every share you can of Jake Ferguson.
Yeah. Like I said, you want a piece of Dallas today too. Whoever you got in Dallas, man, fire up the Tony Pollard anytime touchdown he's scoring. There's no who are they going to run on the goal line besides Pollard? And Prescott, and you're not firing up Deuce Vaughn. He's small.
Yeah, it's
going Tony Pollard goal line or Dak.
Pollard scoring today 100%.
Yep.
Then, of course, we talked about Hunter Henry being a red zone target. I like him today against the Jets.
I love it, too. I just hate the weather and the low total. But,
Aldo points out
you don't have a choice.
Yeah. Aldo points out about Zach Ertz, like you were talking about, Tooch.
Yep, number one target share.
His target share. Josh Dobbs loves him.
Ridiculous.
And he's available in one league. I'm considering starting him today.
I dropped Cole Kmet for Zach Ertz.
Am I crazy to bench DK for Zach Ertz today? Probably. DK's got the rib injury. I'm so scared to start DK, but I'm going to do it anyway.
DK is going versus the Panthers, right?
Yeah, it's a great matchup. I think I got to start DK.
Yeah. DK, I mean, I know he's got the injury, but, man, the Panthers are terrible against the pass. They're just bad. I like DK. He's a must start for me almost every week.
Yeah, he's got to be. It's just the rib thing scares me because I know how rib injuries are, especially for wide receivers. But I think DK's
they're not
too
bad
good
versus the wide receiver of the Panthers. I was wrong.
Tooch, although pointing out about Nico Collins as well, we've been talking about him nonstop for basically 3 weeks now. He's got 26% targets on his routes. I mean,
love it.
CJ Stroud loves him, man. I think that makes a difference when you have a rapport with your quarterback. So
I like it. I don't like the weather down there, man. The 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts can make it tough to throw. But
yeah, I don't love it either. But there might be some dink and dunks to Nico Collins today.
Mm-hmm.
Also pointed out by Aldo, Cortland Sutton had 7 targets last week playing against the Dolphins. Russell Wilson will probably double that in throws to Sutton. And, of course, Jerry Jeudy banged up as well. The Broncos as a whole look like shit. So Cortland Sutton, I've been impressed with what I've seen. So sign me up for that. Notorious has got a question for us, Tooch. Bench Jamar Chase for Dotson. No. Brutal start for the Bengals. I couldn't agree with you more. Notorious. I think it's tough for the Bengals. I mean, I've been killed by Chase as well, but I don't think you can bench Jamar Chase against that LA
Never.
Rams defense, especially on Monday night, regardless of who's throwing him the ball. Jamar Chase is healthy right now, and I think he's hearing all the chatter. Look for Jamar Chase to have a big game Monday night. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah, you can't bench Jamar Chase. You drafted him so high. I mean, I'd give him some more time.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
What about
Dotson
your-
doesn't
what
have a good matchup either, you know?
No, Dotson's got a tough matchup as well.
Yeah, these are kind of obvious here. Look, the Cowboys are the best pass rush in the country, in the league. Patriots versus the Jets, that's a low total. You got Zach Wilson, who you could start the Jets too, probably, and be just as profitable. Ravens defense has been really good. You got Gardner Minshew, though. He's kind of a wild card, but the defense, special teams for Ravens has been phenomenal this season.
Yeah, their special teams has been out of this world.
Yeah.
I also have the Ravens on my list. I think they're going to be a great play today in
I like
fantasy.
the Seahawks. I would have mentioned them too, Joe. It's a good play.
Yeah, I like the
Seahawks.
Seahawks against Carolina, especially
Yep.
with Andy Dalton, Mr. Interception, taking things over for them.
The Chiefs.
And the Chiefs against the Bears. The
mean,
Chiefs defense is under the radar, like you said.
Pile on, right? Pile on the Bears.
Yep. I mean,
Oh, my God.
I don't think we're going to be feeling too good after this game.
Hot
Tooch, but
mess. The Bears.
yeah, it's like a
Dumpster
big,
fire, hot mess, whatever you want to call it. That's the Bears this year. So far.
If you're a Bears fan, you're living
So
in Bear
painful.
fandom. It's like living in it's like I'm calling it diarrhea village these days.
It's so terrible. Although a big fan of Jake Ferguson, though.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, going into the season in our first show, I was saying the Cowboys love their tight end. Jake Ferguson is going undrafted. I said pick him up now before week 1. And now look at this. Ferguson leads the entire league. It's 7 red zone targets, 5 inside the 5-yard line. Jake Ferguson is going to be a top 10 tight end. And he didn't go drafted in the majority of leagues. Unless you're listening to us, you might have had him by now. Just saying. But
The Cardinals giving up about 12 points per game to the tight end position, which is not bad. You know, they're in the top third of the teams bad against the tight end.
Aldo points out DeAndre Swift did see he was unbelievable last week. He saw 31 touches. Kenneth Gainwell remains out. I thought Gainwell was going to be playing today.
I don't know.
I don't think the official list is out, but if Gainwell is out, then you fire up Swift for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Gainwell, I mean, that's a night game, is it?
That's tonight's game.
Sunday night.
Tough.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably they won't announce that until about 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm looking to
Inactive
see if
for that game.
there's an official anything, but last I heard is he was going to be a game time decision, but if he is officially out, then boom, then you're firing up Swift for sure.
It's a shame that the Eagles love Gainwell. You know, he's like they're passing down back and catches the pass out of the background. They'll run him too. He might get goal line carries too.
That's kind of why I was surprised by the Swift mood. I didn't expect that trade, but hey, I was just about to do the same thing. I'm like, Notorious, I stand by it. You cannot bench Jamar Chase.
I don't think you can either. That talent, it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball, but Aldo wants to know if Notorious will trade Jamar Chase. Maybe, right?
I'll give you whatever you want for him.
Yeah.
Can you pick 3 running backs for me? Mixon, wow, what a list. Mixon, Madison, Kyren Williams, Rashad White, Brian Robinson. Also, Lockett over Jamar this week. Crazy to even ask this. I'll answer the last question first. No. You have to start Jamar Chase against this horrendous Rams secondary. You saw them get picked apart. The offense is the only reason they're staying in games. The defense is awful. Tooch sees it as much as I do.
3 running backs, definitely Kyren. He's got the matchup. Then
Kyren's got a great matchup. Mixon is a must start.
Madison and Mixon, yeah. But I like Brian Robinson today too. But Because I mean, the
I
weather,
don't love Robinson.
They're going to pound Robinson today with the weather.
I kind of like Rashad White is the third option there. I kind of like Mixon, Williams, and Rashad White. Rashad White's been the passing down back.
You could toss these guys into a hat and probably come out with 3 of them. This is a good running back room.
It's
there.
definitely Mixon and Kyron Williams for sure. The third one's a bit of a coin flip, but personally, I'd go with Rashad White going against Philly Monday night. They're going to have to use him. He looked really good last week against the Bears, scored a touchdown. Pulling up his stats from last week real quick on Kyron Williams.
Jamar this weekend, I would say no to that.
Yeah, I no doubt. I'm not.
The Panthers are pretty good, man, defense wise. Of course, they haven't played, anybody great, but
so 2 weeks in a row, Tooch, Rashad White getting 17 attempts rushing on the ground, and then he got 5 targets in the passing game last week. He caught all 5 of them. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 touches last week. Rashad White is going to be a guy you're going to want to start in your lineups. Of course, I'm saying that as I have him on the bench. I was going to start him over Metcalf, but I can't do it with the ribs. Wow, that's a tough question right there. Zeke Elliott or Kenyon Drake?
For me, it's Elliott. I don't know how they're going to use Kenyon Drake yet. And Elliott might get some goal line touches.
Yeah, I hate them both, but if I had to pick one more likely to score, I'd go with Zeke.
Yeah, it's tough.
Draco wants to know Algier or Damian Pierce.
If I was a guy with Kenyon Drake and Zeke out, I would see if Kendre Miller is out there. Fire him up instead of either of those two guys.
Yeah, I do like Damian Pierce.
Chuck Reynolds on Detroit. Chuck Reynolds or Kendre Miller. Pick up one of those guys. Even Gus Edwards.
I like Damian Pierce. I like Damian Pierce this week, I think, over Algier. Decent matchup. Of course, that line's not great, but he's a tough runner.
Yep.
We're going to quick fire these questions, and then we're going to get to our sleepers. Najee, Mike Thomas, or Tutu? I'm going to go Tutu, although I like Thomas as well.
Man, that's tough. I don't like Thomas, but for me, it's either Najee or Tutu, just because the Raiders are terrible against the running back. Tutu, I think either Najee or Tutu for me. I don't know.
I'll go Tutu for the matchup.
Yeah, just say Tutu.
Should I drop Watson for Jordan Love? No. I cannot recommend that. There's no receivers to throw him.
Maybe eventually. I don't know. It's a tough call.
Not available 14 teams, according to Ivy John. Okay.
For any of those, yeah, it's tough.
No worries. That's a tough one to go by. But, well, what'd I say? We're going to go to sleepers now, yeah?
Yeah. Why not?
I'll start with mine. I love Matthew Stafford against Cincinnati.
Do I have him in mind too or no?
You do not.
Okay. I love that pick, though.
Jaylen Warren today against Las Vegas. I think he's the better back. I said at the top of the show, he's catching passes. He's more electric. I think they're going to feature him more. Also talked about Taysom Hill going against Green Bay today with the loss of Jamal Williams to IR. And there's no Kamara until next week. I think Taysom Hill is going to be a big part of that offense, whether he's catching passes, throwing passes, running, rushing, doing it all. And then I had to toss in one at the end because he is going to play today. It looks like Brandon Cooks going to be a serviceable option today for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys against Arizona. Week 1, the offense was pouring rain. The defense did it all. Then he was banged up. He was out last week. I think this week you're going to see Brandon Cooks really go off against Arizona. A lot of single coverage. People forget Brandon Cooks has got 1,000 yards pretty much every season. I think he has 1,000 yards every season he's played. So
I think so. Maybe not last year, but before. I don't remember. He was in Houston.
I think he still did it last year. I have to double check. but nonetheless, Brandon Cooks. I love him today against Arizona. I have him in guillotine, and I feel really good about that. What about your sleepers, Tooch?
I also have Jaylen Warren. So, I mean, like I said, Las Vegas. I think there's plenty of carries for Warren and Harris in this game. Kadarius Toney didn't know about the toe, but if he's healthy, I think eventually this guy's going to break out. He's going to be Pat Mahomes' guy. Cade Otton, I mentioned him before. And then I think if you're looking for like a quarterback, you have to have Kirk Cousins in today, man. It's just no question, you know?
Oh, for sure. Kirk has been fantastic, and I think he's going to be a really great quarterback for the Jets later this year.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Although followed back up, he said Kenneth Gainwell is a game-time decision, likely to play. So for me, DeAndre Swift takes a big hit with that. I'm not starting Swift if Gainwell is playing too. So obviously it's a tough one to wait out because that's the night game tonight.
Yep.
But if you had to make a decision,
it's so tough, man.
I'm honestly staying away from the running game in Philly until I know who's going.
Hold on. Let me check one thing here, Joe. Versus the tight end, versus the running back. The Eagles have been terrible against the pass. I know that they've been okay versus both these teams about even, Buccaneers and Eagles against the run, giving up about 16 points to the running back position. So keep that in mind if you're starting either Gainwell, or I don't think there'll be a ton of points for Gainwell. What was the other player again? Between Gainwell and
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift. So yeah,
Swift was awesome last week.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If you're up in the air and you're deciding between the two, just put in Swift.
Yeah.
But because especially after what he did last week, he was awesome.
Yeah, and Gainwell's coming off an injury.
Yes, he is. But Tooch, why don't you dive into your sits?
Yeah, the pass rush of the Browns is going to keep Ryan Tannehill on my bench if you're especially 2 quarterback leagues. The Cowboys, let's just talk about, you can't run on them. Their pass rush is ferocious. This is the best defense in the NFL. It's 2 weeks. Love James Conner. I mean, he might score, he might surprise you and stuff, but say what you want, but Conner to me is kind of like Brandon Cooks. You know, a guy that produces every year after year after year after year. He's not flashy, but he gets you touchdown stuff. But I mean, the number 1 team versus the run is the Cowboys. And then Garrett Wilson versus New England. You're talking about Christian Gonzalez, their top pick, will be blanketing Garrett Wilson. He's got Zach Wilson throwing to him in a monsoon. So I'm sitting Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. Garrett Wilson, it sucks that he's got such a bad quarterback situation. Yeah. Like if Kirk Cousins gets traded to the Jets, Garrett Wilson is like a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah.
But so much pain. We got here Madison or Kelly at flex. I'll go with Kelly in that matchup today. I think there's going to be a lot of points, like Tooch said.
Yep.
And
the Vikings soft as hell against the run.
Yeah, they're soft in general.
Yeah, it's a terrible defense.
Notorious says
so are the Chargers, though. I mean, it's like I just think Kelly's a better player than Madison. I mean, look, if you're Kirk Cousins, are you going to dump it off to Madison or trying to hit Jefferson or Addison or Hockenson?
Yes.
You know, if you're Justin Herbert, you might dump it off to Kelly or hand it off to Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an Alexander Madison fan. That's why they signed Cam Akers, because the guy sucks.
Yep. And we are about 3 minutes from kickoff, so we're going to hammer your questions quickly.
Let's go hammer it. Mostert, Sanders.
Notorious. Watson, would you drop him for Stafford? I'm just done with Watson, I think.
Stafford is lighting it up this year, man. He's got guys to throw to, too. I'll take Stafford.
I think right now I would take Stafford. I just pulled up the Rams schedule, Tooch, just so we can briefly look through it. So I think
Watson will have a great season, though, too. I mean,
he will.
It's tough right now.
I want to say that, by the way, Stafford has a really great schedule here for the next 5 weeks or so. So they get Bengals on tomorrow. Bengals, Colts, Eagles, which is a little tough, Cardinals, Steelers, and then you get the Cowboys. So I'd rather have Stafford for the next couple weeks, but you know, I don't hate it. But if you're done with Watson, I wouldn't mind Stafford.
Yep.
Terry wants to know. He needs one flex spot. Mostert, Sanders, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman. I'm taking Mostert today, man. I think that dog's going to eat.
Sanders is who again?
Miles Sanders, probably.
Miles Sanders. Okay. I always forget about him. Well, he's playing against the Seahawks, right?
Miles Sanders. He's on Carolina now, right?
Yeah, he's on Carolina.
Yeah, he's got Seahawks.
The Seahawks have been pretty soft versus the run, giving up 26-40. Raheem Mostert is playing the Broncos. They've also been pretty soft. To me, Mostert is a must start every week right now.
Yeah, I mean, Mostert for me is the start of the week. Him and James Cooks.
You can't load the box against Mostert like you can for Sanders.
Yeah.
And force Andy Dalton or Bryce Young to throw because Tua will eat you up. You got Tyreek Hill running routes out there. Mike Williams is intriguing because, like I said, you want a piece of that. You want a piece of that Chargers offense. And Pittman to me playing in bad weather. I like it, but because the Ravens have been terrible against the wide receiver.
I'm taking Mostert.
Yeah, Mostert to me is the number one option.
Ray Edwards or Moss standard. I'm probably going Gus Edwards. I like Gus Edwards today.
Yeah, flip a coin. Zach Moss gets a lot of touches though. That's the
they're both going to get a lot of touches today. I think Tooch said it right. It's a bit of a coin flip.
Ravens are pretty good against the running back though. 14.5 points per game.
That's why I like Edwards.
Yeah, the Colts also they're allowing 17.8 points. Give me Gus Edwards.
I'm on it with you, man.
Yeah, I don't care. Flip a coin.
Elijah Dotson, thoughts?
I don't know who that is. Who's Elijah Dotson?
I know Josh Dotson.
Well, there's Jahan Dotson on the Commanders,
right?
And Elijah Moore on the Browns. So
Elijah Dotson plays for the Chargers. He's a running back.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I never heard of him. He backs up Kelly, so
I'm assuming he's the backup for Kelly. I mean, I'm not pulling the trigger on that just yet.
Yeah, because Austin Eckler ain't going to be out the whole season. So
yeah, then Ray wants to know Eagles defense against the Bucs or Ravens against the Colts. I'll go Ravens here.
Ravens for me too.
With that said, folks, we are at kickoff. We took you all the way up to kickoff.
Yep.
I want to give a big thank you to our other co-host Adam Shaw for popping in from Kansas City. He's going to be at the game here.
Yep, Aldo Gandia, producer.
Although all the comments and questions in the chat, everyone else here asking all the questions. Ray said he ended up playing the Eagles defense, looking more healthy. Can't see the Bucs going 3-0. Well, you never know. He said I only had a minute left. Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, it's not bad either way, but I'd rather have the Ravens.
Yeah.
Tooch, we have starting this Tuesday, we're going to be doing something new on our social media channels on Facebook and Twitter. We're going to be posting waiver wire pickups, a little video. So tune in on Tuesday afternoon/evenings, and we'll be putting out a little video each week to help you with waiver wire acquisitions and who to drop and who to pick up. So make sure you check out our social media on Facebook and Twitter on Tuesdays, and we'll have that up there for you. But Tooch, before we get out of here, anything you want to say? Otherwise, we can go watch some football.
Yeah, best of luck today in your games. Check out Weekend Sports Betting Tips on the Barroom with Anthony Iglesias, Sean Higgs, and myself every Friday night, 7 p.m. Central. Joe Mandel, South Burbs Hitmen. Check out that show, White Sox Talk. Are you going to be talking all off season or packing it in for off season? Or
we'll probably pack it up for the off season unless there's some news that breaks. But we plan on having a show tomorrow, and I don't know what we're going to talk about. They suck. They have $1 tickets on Tuesday or whatever they announced to go to the game. I'm like, all right, now you're going to do it. Anyway, nonetheless, well, Tooch, appreciate you as always, man. It's been a heck of a show, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone in the chat, very active. Make sure you mash that subscribe button to the Barroom Network. You get notified every time we go live with our shows.
Yep.
Of course, you have Bear Football covering the Bears game at halftime and the post-game show today. All great Bears content on the network. We had the Barfly Tailgate show on before us. Tooch was on with them this morning. Of course, you got Greg Gabriel talking football. You got Buffone 55. As Tooch mentioned, South Burbs Hitmen, Crosstown Crosstalk, Bar Down Talking Hockey. So many shows, so little time. Check out the Barroom Network. Subscribe. Find us on social media. Follow me at Joe Mandel. Follow Tooch at John Santucci VIP. You can follow us at FFB Goon on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook as well. And, of course, Adam Shaw, Papa Bear 816 on Twitter/X. Give us that follow. We definitely do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ray said he's subscribed. Appreciate you, Ray. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Just
Ray.
have a great rest of the weekend. You too, Ray. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. With that said, we're going to get out of here, go watch some football. As always, God bless America. God bless football. Let's kick some ass. And even though they stink, go Bears.
Go Bears.